Okay guys, welcome to solving equations with pronumerals on both sides. So in last lesson we were having a look at solving simple equations with the pronumeral or the unknown on one side. Now we're going to have a look at how you work them out on both sides. Now, while equations with pronumerals might look a bit complicated, they're actually really easy. When we solve equations that feature a pronumeral on both sides, the first thing we need to do is manipulate the equation or play around with it like we have, so the pronumeral is only on one side, so not on both sides. The first thing before we can actually work out the equation is get the pronumeral on one side and then complete the other steps as we were before. So today we're going to have a look at a few examples and then you're going to do a bit of your own work. Okay guys, so our first example that we have here, 4p plus 2 equals p plus 4. So the first thing that you'll notice is that we've got an unknown or a pronumeral on the left and we have an unknown or a pronumeral on the right. If you remember back to the theory we just saw on the other slide, the first thing you have to do when you have an equation with a pronumeral on each side is to get the pronumeral just onto the one side. Now, a bit of a hint when you're doing this, guys, is get the pronumeral on the side where the term will remain positive. So I can move this 4p and I can move it over this side, and then the equation would be 2 equals minus 3p plus 4, but that tends to be a bit complicated. So what we like to do is leave the pronumeral on the side where the term would be positive. And in this case, in not all cases, but in this case, it's on the left-hand side. So our p that's on the right is a positive number at the moment because it doesn't have a negative sign in front of it. So the first thing we need to do is move the p onto the other side. So it's 4p minus p plus 2 equals 4. First thing, when you see a p like this, that represents 1p. Okay? We just don't write the 1 in front of it. Just like sometimes, yeah, we may have 1 orange, but when people ask you, what have you got in your lunchbox today? Oh, I have an orange. You don't say, I have 1 orange, you just say, I have an orange. So in the equations, we don't say, oh, I have 1p, you've just got p. But it does represent 1p. So, 4 minus 1, 3. 3p, or 4p minus 1p, is 3p, plus 2 equals 4. Then it's just simply a matter of working out the equations like we were before, doing the inverse. 3p, so we've got plus 2, we've got a positive 2 here. Addition, what's the opposite of addition? Subtraction. 4 minus 2, 3p equals 2. Therefore, our 3 dots, those funny 3 dot things that I was using. 3p is multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is division. So 3p equals 2. Therefore, p equals 2 over 3 or 2/3. Simple as that, guys. Next example here. What have we got here? We'll go 4m plus 2 equals 6m plus 10. Okay, now, slightly different. You'll notice if you move the 6m over to the left-hand side, it'll be actually negative 2m. So the best way to really do this equation is to move the 4p over to the right-hand side. So you'll have 2 equals, move the 4m, not the 4p. So 2 equals 6m minus 4m plus 10. Now, we know this 4m over here is a positive number, so all we've done is the inverse. We've made it a negative number, because when we move something from one side of the equation to the other, we do the inverse, or the opposite. The inverse of addition is subtraction. So, 2 equals 6m minus 4m. Great way to do this, guys, ignore the pronumerals. 6, subtract 4 from 6, or 6 minus 4, 2. So 2m plus 10. Now, this isn't a traditional looking equation. Some people get confused because traditionally the chunkier side of the equation is on the left and the answer's on the right. So if you want at this point, guys, you're more than welcome to move it over. So we'll have 2m plus 10 equals 2. If you'd feel more comfortable doing it that way, that's fine. Whichever way works for you. You can leave it like this line here, or you can change it like this line here. Sorry, that was meant to be, I hope that doesn't confuse you. There you go. Okay, you can do it either of those two ways. Up to you. So now, as with before, we just perform basic operations. So, first thing, let's get rid of this 10. Let's do the inverse. 2m equals 2 minus 10. 2m equals negative 8. Okay, pretty straightforward. So if 2m equals negative 8, that's 2 of m. We need to find out what m is by itself. So m equals 2m is multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is division. So 2m equals negative 8 divided by 2. Therefore, okay, let's simplify this. Highest common factor for 8 and 2 is 2. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into negative 8, negative 4 times. Therefore, m equals negative 4. Pretty straightforward, guys. This second example I have shown you is a little bit more tricky. So if you want to pause, rewind and play again, you're more than welcome. Okay, guys, now we're going to look at one more. It's a little bit tricky. So 5 minus 3p equals p. Ooh, what happened there? My stylus had a bit of a crazy attack. Equals p plus 5. So we keep it on the side that'll stay most positive. So it's up to you. I like to do it this way. I would go 5 equals, and we'll move the minus 3 and add it onto the side. Add it onto the right hand side. So 5 equals minus 3, and you've got 1p, so 4 p plus 3p plus 5. So 5 equals 1p plus 3p is 4p plus 5. Again, if you want to flip it, that's fine. If you want to flip it around, so just move this side over to this side and vice versa. 4p plus 5 equals 5. Some people prefer to read it that way, and that's fine. It's just flipping around the side. So 4p plus 5 equals 5. So 4p, let's do the inverse. We've got addition there. The inverse of addition is subtraction. So 4p is 0. If 4 times p is 0, 1 times p is therefore also going to be 0 divided by 4, 0. 4p is 0. Nah, that seems like a bit of a weird answer to you, guys, doesn't it? I know I had to double check before when I got that answer, but easiest way, guys, to check if we're right, substitute it into the equation. So 5 minus 3 times 0, because that's our answer, equals 0 plus 5. Okay. Order of operations. 3 times 0 is 0. Okay, and then we do the rest. We do the addition. 0 plus 5, 5. 5 minus 0, 5. 5 equals 5. Absolutely nailed it. So, guys, that's working out examples of equations with a pronumeral on each side. Hopefully you should have got it. If you still feel like you need a bit of a hand, rewatch the video again and write down some of these examples.